All right, here we are.
Hello,
We are
hello.
live. I'm just going to make myself full screen here. Okay, here we go. Now I can see everything. So it's my turn to host this week for the Sisters of the Magical Tarot, which I'm so um, honored to be a part of. Um, we have to my right Marina from Heart Centered Tarot, and
Hello,
to
hello.
her right Sherry from Voices from the Swamp. And oh, I didn't turn down my phone quite enough. And we have Allison from Mary's Girl Tarot, Val, Dragonfly Crystals, and of course, Allie from Heart and Soul Connected. We are simulcasting, so this I need to say that this is broadcasting to all of our channels, but you will only see the conversation. For example, on Marina's channel, people will only see the conversation happening with the people in her channel. Uh, I should be able. Should I be able to see all of it? It being the host.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Um, all right. So today, we've got a question that's been done before, but not for a long time, and that was what is some of the best things that you have learned from your mother, advice, or maybe you learn by example from her, or if not your mother, then someone other significant in your life. And so, rather than just always having Marina first, do we want to go for a volunteer, or do I just do it? Oh, Marina, you're
Well,
ready?
I can be ready, of
Yeah,
course.
there you
But
go.
yeah.
Okay, well, Marina, you go. Go for it.
Okay. So there was I'm going to talk about somebody else other than my mother because that involves a whole story. You don't need to
Mm-hmm.
hear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So um I think that the one person that really, really had quite an impact on my life wasn't even someone that was part of my family. But the lesson that I learned from her has stuck with me for all these years. And that was I had just moved to Nova Scotia. I was married. Um, and um, I was looking for a Christmas gift for my mother because we were coming back to Calgary for the holidays, and I had gone into this little shop that had all kinds of cute, adorable things, and most of them were imported. And one of the things that she had was this beautiful embroidered tablecloth. And I had gone in there several times and had my eye on this tablecloth, but it was really out of my price range. So, I'd go in, I'd look at it, I'd feel it, I'd touch it. And so finally, the, uh, the owner, who was a very, very lovely little Jewish woman, and I kind of put that in there because I'm going to I'm going to bring up her voice so that, you don't think I'm making fun. Anyway, one of the last times that I was in there and I'm looking at this thing, and she came by and she stood next to me and she said, "You want something?" And so I proceeded to, explain to her that, yeah, I love this tablecloth. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And so on. But it really is more than I can afford. And she kind of stepped back a little and put her hands on her hips and she said, "Huh, you don't ask, you don't get. You ask." She gave me a significant discount
Oh,
so that
Wow.
I could pick this up. And I can't tell you how many times her voice pops into my head when I'm, concerned about something, or I'm looking to make a decision or whatever. That little voice that comes in that says, "Huh, you don't ask, you don't get." So that was um, that was very significant, like I said, because it has stuck with me all these years. So very grateful to her for that.
I love that. I'm
Yes,
not
I
going
love
to be
that
able to
too.
forget that one, Marina, you know.
No, exactly. Exactly.
You've even said that before, but you didn't explain the backstory.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Oh,
cool.
lovely. And it's a nice
Actually, my partner says that a lot.
Ah,
If you don't ask, you don't get.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So Sherry, thank you for that, Marina, by the way.
You're very
That's a lovely
welcome.
story.
As you're going along, I'm sitting there typing away. um, I didn't really have a whole lot of women to kind of look up to except for my mother. When I was a teenager, we butted heads on everything because I was a teenager and thought I knew it all. And she was still a young enough mom to know that eventually I would grow out of that. And but through it all, through all the ups and downs, good times, bad times, whatever, she was always my best friend and always the one person I could go to with any issue, with any problem, with any concern. Um, she didn't tolerate a lot of BS, but she kind of knew when, if it was me or someone else, was kind of pushed to the limit on an issue, and she was always there with open arms and just to love us. I think that's the greatest gift she gave to me and my brother was she gave us her time, what little time she had as a single parent, trying to raise two kids on her own. She gave us her love unconditionally. Whatever we decided we wanted to try and do, man, she was back there up behind us 100%, the biggest cheerleading squad you could hope for.
Yeah.
I watched her walk to work in the dead of winter without a coat so that I could have a prom gown or my brother could have a uniform for a sports team, that kind of thing. And she was just always there for us. And I still miss her deeply. But it's nice to know that she's still right here with me because I still feel her. And she lets me know she's around every now and again. She gives me a little poke or a prod. And
Awesome.
Well,
yeah.
thank you.
Nice.
That's very nice. Yeah, I feel my mother around me as well. I'm sure most of us do. Okay, so next is our Aries girl, Allison.
So, my mom, if I was going to stick with my mom, my mom was a nurse, and yes, she had shortcomings for sure. But one of the best things I got from her was my ability to stay calm in an emergency and be very grounded, and I know what to do in a lot of different situations.
Nice.
And I absolutely got that from her. And I know what to do if somebody gets a really bad cut. I know what to do if somebody breaks a limb. I know what to do if my son choked on a piece of hard candy in the car when he was, I think, in first grade.
Oh, wow.
Pulled over, parked, walked around the car, pulled him out of the back seat, leaned him over, and whacked him on the back in the right spot 3 blows, and the candy came out. Put him back in the car, and we continued on our way home.
My God.
And had I been somebody else,
They would have panicked and
it
not
could have
known
been
what
a
to do.
completely different outcome,
Whee!
shit show, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
And, but I got that from my mom, and
Yeah.
I think that's invaluable.
Well, you saved your son. How
Yeah,
that's
well, that
invaluable.
having that kind of instilled in me. Also, another thing which is similar, but it's not exactly the same. I got what my sister and I joke around as the MacGyver gene from my mom. Like if something happens,
You can fix
a
it.
lot of the time I can just figure out a way around it, figure out something else to do. I can fix stuff. and part of it is because like my mom would not just call a repairman for things. She just wouldn't. She would, you know, I mean, she would if she had to, but we learned how to fix things and how to do stuff and do it yourself and whatever. And we also learned to go without certain things, you know, like our television for the longest time, the knob didn't sit right. Well, she's like, oh, and she's all looking at it. She figured out, she took a piece of this is basically cardboard, all folded up, shoved it in there behind the knob, got the tension just right and whatever. And it was like that for a while before she got it fixed. So, but anyways, it would be the medical emergency stuff and keeping calm and not losing it and staying grounded. That's the best gift that I got from my mom for sure.
Cool.
That's mine.
That was great.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Okay, Val.
And,
Val.
I
Val.
love that, Allison. I loved all of yours. It was all fun. Okay, so my mom, you know, she was into the metaphysical thing. So that's how I was raised. And if you came home and complained about this person or that person, and she'd say, everyone is your mirror. What are you seeing in yourself that you're not happy with or that you need to adjust?
Yeah.
Some aspect of yourself. If you're impatient with someone, if someone said something that hit you the wrong way, whatever it is, they're all there in front of you teaching you about yourself. It's all about you. So that was a big, huge thing to learn, that you can't blame someone else. You can't blame them. You can't blame all the actors on the stage. So also one other thing stands out, and that was when I was about 21 and I went to my doctor, and every year for many years I would get bronchitis. Finally, he looked at me and he said, he'd been my doctor since I was a teenager, and he said, why are you allowing yourself to get this every year? But he said it and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm allowing myself to have this.
Yeah.
I never got it again after that.
Sounds like my husband. He
I
says
used to
that
get
shit to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiffany, I'm the creator and I'm allowing myself to do this. Oh,
Yeah.
hell. Oh, hell. Okay.
Amazing.
Pattern.
And I never got it again.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. That's great. Okay, Allie.
Well, I had no grandparents. They were dead in the 1940s, and I didn't come along till a decade later. But I had an aunt, Toddy, and she was 18 years older than my dad, and she was about 300 pounds and full of hell. She was like the Queen Victoria of the family, because I don't know if you guys know, but Queen Victoria on her wedding night, her mother said to her, close your eyes and think of England. and so my aunt closed her eyes and she thought of whatever, and she never wanted to do that again. That was awful. So she didn't have any children. So I was a surrogate sort of,
Right.
child for
Yeah.
her. And they
Great
had a lake
start.
house. Yeah, it was wonderful. They had a lake house, and they were just wonderful to me. And she was born in 1899, and she always hated that because, she didn't want to be born in the last century. It was really funny. But the best thing that my aunt ever did was she laughed like hell all the time. So I got her sense of humor, but she would get up from the dinner table and she would go and stand between the two jambs of the door. Mm-hmm. And she would squat down and give you the biggest fart you ever heard in your life. And then she would take her dress and go like this.
Oh my God.
And
I had a couple of uncles that would do that without the dress.
yeah. But you know what? You don't forget that shit,
No, not even.
She was something else. She was.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that was fun.
Thank you for that.
Now, that's somebody who is enjoying life at the moment.
Yeah.
If
That's
you
right.
don't ask, you don't get.
You don't.
Yeah, right.
I know you've been waiting for this. Here's the encore.
Oh my God. Well, gosh, with my mom, I mean, as Allison said, she was not a perfect person. She had many faults, but she had many, many wonderful traits as well. And and telling that story, about your aunt and between the two door giants, um, I
Yeah.
remember clearly one road trip we were on. Now, first of all, my father was an alcoholic when he came out of the Navy, and her family even had to do an intervention to get us out of the house. It was awful. But anyways, but here is mom saddled with four. As I'm going to kindergarten, I'm the oldest one. I've got three other siblings that are younger than me. So,
Yeah.
Irish Catholic family. In fact, my mother used to say her form of birth control was divorce.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, so she was so independent. That's one of the big things she taught me was to be independent. And she said, "Dear, don't depend on a man for your livelihood.
Mhm.
You could end up like me, being divorced, whatever. You get trained, you do something so that you can provide for yourself and for your family." So that was the
Shades of
biggest.
my mom.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was the biggest piece of advice. But also, so I just want to say, circling back, is that she took us on so many camping trips on her own, and picnics and hiking, and it just all outdoor stuff. She was just so great about that. Anyways, we're heading up to the Okanagan for a vacation, and we're in this car, and we're driving along, and of course, we all of a sudden, as kids, were saying, "All right, who did that? Who passed gas? Who was that? Who farted?" And we're just asking each other. And finally,
Yeah.
we couldn't figure out who it was. And all of a sudden, we went, "Mom!" And her shoulders. She didn't say anything, but her shoulders went like this as she was driving. And she was laughing. And it was her. It was silent but deadly. But anyway, she just had such a great sense of humor.
That's
And
awesome.
so I learned that from her. I mean, I'm pretty out there. Well, I get that from my mother. And although I think I'm worse than her in some respects. um, but also, I really learned independence, that I didn't need a man to be happy. I didn't need a man to take care of me. And uh, as Allison said, she was MacGyver as well. She didn't call a repairman because she couldn't afford it. So I know we had to have a light switch, replaced in the kitchen. So at work, and she worked at the police academy. So the instructor said, "This is what you do." And they took off, the cover in the office there. Now you turn off the power, to this circuit, the kitchen circuit, and then this is how you do it, and this is how you replace it. So she learned, she's okay. So I remember her doing that. That was a big deal, her doing that for the first time. And she not only cut off the power to that particular kitchen circuit, she cut off the whole thing in the entire house just to be sure. But she did it. And she did all sorts of things on her own, and simply because that's the way her mind worked, and she liked to be independent, but also she just couldn't afford it, raising four kids. And someone to stretch a buck, oh my God, my mom was the queen of that for sure. Anyways, yeah, that's the I'd say that, I mean, I could go on. I mean, my spiritual journey is because of her. She and her sister started it in the late 60s. And so that's why, I'm on this path as well. But yeah.
Yeah. Very
So
nice.
I
I'd
just
like to have had Val's mom.
I think we all would have. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
My mom was into this in the 50s. That's
Oh,
how
wow.
it was.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
before the time she was doing this kind of thing.
My brother was.
Way
So
ahead.
he and I did. He used to go to Echelon Institute.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I remember
Mhm.
that.
My mother was into marching for
That takes me
equal
back.
rights, civil rights, women's rights. I went to a lot of marches when I was a kid.
That's awesome too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
what
You
Allison
were
was
there,
talking about reminded me, I remember watching her rebuild a carburetor once. because the carburetor went out in our car and she couldn't afford a mechanic. And it drove every man in the neighborhood crazy because they wanted to come over and do it for her. And every
Right.
time they'd walk over and say, "Can I help?" she'd say, "No, I got it." Shoo 'em away.
Of course, now we have YouTube. There's no
Yeah,
excuse.
I use it
Yeah,
for
exactly.
all the how-tos too, Sharon. I'm all
Yeah.
like on it for anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah.
I like the fact, Allison, that you got that that grounding, that strength from your mom, because you're absolutely right. I know that if yeah, in an emergency, if I don't know ahead of time what I need to do, yeah, I do tend to panic. And sometimes it doesn't serve me well. So, being able to kind of have that background and know that whatever, if it comes up, I can handle it. I got it. I can do it. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Mhm.
I don't know if I got that from my mother. I mean, she was calm in most situations, but there were others where she was not. And I was always calm. And for me, what happens is it's actually more like a deer in the headlight. I go, huh? What's happening here? And time just slows right down for me.
Yeah.
And I just calmly look at the situation. I know, like when her mother fell down the stairs and had a very serious head injury, my mom froze, and I didn't. I went down to my grandmother, and But anyways, I've just always had that, and it certainly served me well at being a teacher. That you didn't panic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everything else I think I got from her. I know one thing that she said to me, because my two sisters were, I was very studious and I was not unattractive, but, my two sisters who were a year younger than one was a year younger than me, the other was a year younger than her. You could almost call them Irish triplets. But, anyways, they had boyfriends coming out of their ears where I didn't. I was very shy and that kind of stuff. And I remember my mother saying to me when I was about 16, 17, we're in the car, and she said, I kind of said this to her. And she said, "Hon, you'll be the type of woman that a man wants to marry. And that's all that counts." So,
Awesome.
yeah, I didn't think about it again.
Hmm.
Turns out I wasn't interested in guys anyway.
What did mom know?
Yeah, exactly.
You just got the gender wrong. That's all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Water's not doing it. Allison, don't look. I'm having a Pepsi. Don't look.
Oh no! Oh,
Yeah, I know. It's Pepsi Zero if it makes anyone feel
Say
better.
anything to anybody. If you ask me
No,
a
there's-
question, I will talk.
yeah, exactly. No, don't do that. Well,
There
it's
you
got
go.
more junk in it to make it zero. So
Mhm.
there's
Yeah,
still
that's one of the
still a
things my
sugar
mom used to
substitute in
always say
there,
to
which is
me is,
worse.
No, but you just
don't wait on some man to take care of you. You figure it out, do it
Exactly.
yourself.
Thank you.
Exactly. That's
You
what I
got it.
learned as well. Yeah. And I think maybe she got a bit of that from my grandmother, because if it needed, she would she'd have some sort of project, and her husband owned a business. So when he came home, he was pretty tired. I mean, he was a good man, but um, she would do things like some project she'd go to the lumber yard, and she would get them she had the dimensions. She would get them to cut it up for her, which wasn't a service they provided, but they did it for her. And she'd bring it back and she'd build her project. So she was always doing stuff like that. Okay. Well, is there any other sort of subtopic about moms you'd like to talk about, or shall we go on to the question that was sent to us? I haven't seen anything in the chat that comment or a question. Have you noticed that the chat, at least on my end, the chat is repeating a lot of comments?
That's because it posts to all the channels, hon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's what the host sees. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think we
Hi,
Hello,
David.
David.
Hi, David.
Yeah, we I saw the little bubble on the bottom of the thing where it said comments will be posted to multiple channels. Yeah, so those of us that are in the live stream, we can see all the chat.
Yeah.
And the people that are in our individual rooms that only see the chat that goes on in that room.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yes, we can spend a little bit of time absolutely talking about Mitch McConnell. But
Yes, I see that David Tarot by the Bay said that. Did you hear? Yeah. We were talking about it a bit before the show started.
No, what about Mitch McConnell?
He had a
Oh.
stroke, we think. Right on camera.
on TV,
On camera, giving a
Mhm.
press conference.
He said a few words and then he just stopped like a zombie and stared straight ahead. And,
Yeah.
and they had to go in front of him and look at him and walk him
Yeah.
away.
Senator Barrasso was a doctor, so he walked him off.
That
Mm.
sounds like a mini stroke, if not more so.
Mini stroke.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Wayne says here that his mother had a kind of quiet, life is tough, but get over it. I know.
That's great.
I know we
Yeah.
used to say to my oldest, who could, especially when she was kind of a tweener, she was about 10, 11 years old, and she would be griping about something. And I remember the family, actually, he's a really good friend, but they know him. My daughters know him as Uncle Patrick. And she was whining about something, and he turned to her and said, "Suck it up, princess." And that stuck.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
Do you want to read on Mitch McConnell, or anything else to discuss, or that's it?
Well, we got
I can
one
see
question.
enthusiasm of reading on Mitch McConnell.
I think we've all read on him so
All
much.
right, David.
Like,
Yeah, look,
Yeah.
he comes in, he stirs the pot, and then says, "Okay, bye."
Hi, David.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, gotta love him though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. Well, we don't need to do that. So we did have a question about now you're supposed to send like on Saturday we'll put a posting out saying on our community tabs to please send us any questions that you have, spiritual questions or whatever, and place them, on that community, that post, and we will answer them, on Wednesdays when we have this show. We only had one, and it was, what are your 4 favorite tarot cards and why? Okay, so Marina,
We're going to do just one today, though, right?
yes,
Oh, just
yeah.
one?
You know what? That is such a powerful question, such a good question that I think it deserves like a whole show on its own.
Yeah.
Because there's so much information that can be brought out, and I think most people tune in because they get to learn a little bit more about the tarot and different things as they're watching us, right? So I think that we kind of decided backstage that that's something that we can cover next week when Val is the host. And lucky her, she doesn't have to think of a topic because
It's a great topic. I love it.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we can certainly start with, one card, right? And kind of take it from there. So I'll tell you that my favorite cards are the queens in the tarot deck. And that's because each one of them is so individual. But the one that I will sort of focus on for the next couple minutes is the Queen of Wands. And this is from the Golden Art Nouveau deck.
Well, thanks, Marina.
Oh, sorry, Alice.
Sorry, what happened?
You know what? You can have the same thing.
She's gonna read the card that's me.
Yeah. Well, I have the Queen of Wands too, so that's one of my
Yeah.
four.
Yeah. In
I don't.
this particular deck, she is the only one that is kind of sitting upright, staring spread at you. She's got, and I don't know if you can see it if I bring it close, if it will actually show or not. But the look on her face is kind of like, hey, you got something to say to me? What did you want to talk about? And it's that she's willing to listen. She has the ideas, but she's not going to take any BS from you, right? She's just like, okay, yeah, right. And you have a choice, you know. Yeah, she's got her familiar there by her feet. She's got her cat, and she's got that beautiful flower in her, the sunflower in her hand. And I always think of sunflowers as kind of being very bold. You know, they grow very tall. They're big.
Strong.
They're very colorful. So you know you can't miss a sunflower, right? It's never going to be something that is just kind of lost. But she's smart. She's intuitive. She's got ideas. She can see things from a different perspective. But yeah, like I said, her she is so out there that you can't bullshit her. You absolutely, yeah, can't bullshit her. And she's also not only the only one that is facing forward, but she's also the least covered. Like if you look at the other ones, they have, you know, a little more the cloak and the this and the that. The rest of them are sitting on a throne. With her, you don't get the impression she's sitting on a throne. There's nothing to indicate in this card that she's on a throne. So, you know, she makes decisions, but she also takes a lot of things into consideration. She doesn't put herself above anybody else, but she also doesn't see herself as being beneath anyone else. Like I think this is when you kind of meet your match, right? You're gonna go talk to her. Just the facts, man. So yeah, that's my Queen of Wands.
I love
Okay.
that.
I guess it
Okay,
makes me next.
it's you next.
The card I picked because it's the first one that I ever actually did kind of a deep dive on with Jeffrey from Ripe Color. We did an hour show on just one card.
Yeah.
And I learned so much, and it just really intrigued me, but at the same time it was so intimidating that I haven't done it with any other card.
It's a great.
It's like I'm almost scared to because of how deeply, but it's the Hanged Man.
Mm.
And at the time that we did the show on it, it was so me in my stage of my life at that particular moment. Everything was kind of just frozen. You know, it was like I was starting this and I was learning and I was doing, but at the same time, I felt almost stuck. Like I was waiting for something to happen so I could keep going.
Yeah.
And I think it was us doing the deep dive on this is part of what helped me get over that hump. Because Jeffrey, as an artist, brought out points in the cards that, as not an artist, I never thought of before. Like, what's in the background? What colors are they wearing? Is everybody wearing the same color in your row of cards you got out? Are they same background? Is it water on all of them? Are they mountains? Are they this? it was like he was bringing out so many different elements of not the main character in the card, but what's in the card itself in the
Yeah.
background.
Right.
You know, and of course he looks at it from that artistic eye of the colors, the textures, the what's going on, and it just really opened my eyes to how I started reading the cards, because I quit being so obsessive about I have to look it up, I have to look it up, I don't know what that means. And that was kind of the little
Yeah.
push I needed to get out of this stance and to learn to just look at the card and pull from it what I was feeling. Now I still look some of them up sometimes because I just don't get anything from it, or I'm not sure if it's kind of an either or kind of answer. But there's just so much involved with this card. I know one of the things that we both came to the conclusion is this isn't someone forced to be hung.
No.
He did this to himself and can get out anytime he wants to. His hands aren't bound. He's just hanging by a foot, just hanging there.
Yep.
And it was like, oh, I never even realized that, So it's just, I don't know, it just really intrigued me. And I say I haven't really done it with other cards. I've slowly been trying to do it now for the last few months, but it's still intimidating because there's just so much to learn about each card. And
Yep.
But I guess that was my first one that I connected with,
Yeah. If you ever have a chance to do that with Jeffrey Bright Color, it is, to have a discussion about one card is absolutely fabulous, because not
Yeah.
only do you learn from him. I don't know of anybody who knows that original Rider-Waite deck, looks like this, than him. And he knows the history of it. And anyways, it's
Yeah.
fabulous because, of course, you learn from him, but he learns from you too, because you see different things, and it
Yeah.
means different things to you. So if you ever have that chance to do that, or you want to, say, hey, I'd love to do a card with you, get a hold of him. It's really quite an experience. Okay. So next, what is your favorite card, Allison? Or what would you like to talk about?
Hard for me to say. I love the
Yeah.
deck so much, especially
I agree.
Rider-Waite, which is really what I use. I mean, I use different color saturations, but it's the Rider. So I will say the four that I picked, though, and then I'll just do one. 3 of Cups, Ace of Wands. I love all the aces, though. The Empress, Death. There's a bunch of them that I really, really like, but I'll go with the Empress. 9 of Pentacles is another huge favorite. I didn't pull that one out, but I'll go with the Empress. And I love her because she, for me, is Gaia, Mother Earth. She's motherhood. She's pregnancy. She's, fruition. She's nature. She's the harvest. She's she's beauty. She's femininity. She's love. She's adoration, commitment. I mean, she's just all these things. And, it doesn't get any more beautiful than that, in my opinion. So I would say the Empress, and so much is represented here as well. We have trees and water and wheat at her feet. Her crown is stars. There's pomegranates on her dress. She has she's just beautiful. In the old deck, or the original cards, she was visibly pregnant. Here I'm noticing she's not on this deck anyhow. And that's the other thing too. I'm going to point this out. This isn't really about this card, but we were sitting here talking, and like Marina was showing our lovely Queen of Wands, on the Rider-Waite, she's not looking forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
On a lot of the decks, she is. The High Priestess is staring right at you in the Rider-Waite. But a lot of the times, yeah, the Queen of Wands is looking straight forward. And it's just kind of neat how, I don't mean the decks that really get out there with the very artistic, those are cool too. It's just not my thing. I mean, I look at the decks all the time, like if I'm out just to look at them. But it's just so cool how people will take something that's still very Rider-Waite, but do it in their own way, not getting away from, I don't really want to use these words, but what it's supposed to look like, so that you can still pick it up and just use it without having to, oh, what is this? And actually know, like I know them quite well, but a lot of people don't know the measures by number and that kind of stuff. And sometimes if you don't know all that, it's going to take you 45 minutes to get to a reading because you have no idea what you're looking at. But anyhow, yeah, and like there's so many that and like I said, I really love the Death card too for a lot of different reasons. But the Empress, she's also very comfortable. See her? She's not on a throne. She's on a very comfortable chair. She's got a couple throws and beautiful tapestries behind her. She's got a bolster pillow at the small of her back, and and she's in a relaxed pose. She's sitting back. She's not all, erect and rigid and looking all stiff. She's got one hand on her knee. Anyways, I just love the Empress, so that's mine.
Lovely.
Love
And
it.
again, I chose the Empress. So I also considered the Death card as well. It's one of my favorites too. Okay, so Val, you're next.
Okay. I almost picked the Empress. There's so many cards I like.
So many.
I know.
Yeah.
So many.
4 favorites. It's like sacrilege.
It's hard.
I know.
But today I'm going to go with the Hermit.
Oh,
I'll tell you
you
why.
stole mine.
The beautiful
Hmm.
void. You're going up the mountains and going deep inside to gain that wisdom, that understanding from everything that you've gone through. That wisdom, you're going inside to get the messages. And there's the owl there showing that you're getting that sacred knowledge, turning everything you've gone to into a journey of enlightenment and awareness, with the beautiful light showing. And I love how they've depicted, this is a star tarot, how it's almost like a vortex, or they've stepped through into another dimension. And for me, this is the most sacred card, because the next step is you're stepping out from this back into the world. And what are you going to create? What is going to, you've already stepped up your level of awareness. And so you can hit this many, many times in your lifetime. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful card, that inner depth that you hit. And usually it's after you've gone through a little something, but still, it's an excellent card. And it brings a beautiful wisdom with it. So I love it.
That's lovely. Okay, Kelly, you're up next.
Well, my tarot teacher in 1988 was the Hermit, and she was that was her favorite card, and she was really good. I didn't learn as much as I would like to have, but I love that card. But I always pick this card for me to represent me, and I don't know why, but I love it. It's the Star.
Aww.
And it's not that I'm a star, it's just that it's got faith in there. And when I was a young girl, I was in the International Order of Rainbow Girls, and I was Grand Faith to the state of New Hampshire. And so this card represents, the accomplishment of being able to do that, knowing that I could walk in there and keeping calm, and I love that she has faith even though she's not clothed in the right way,
Yeah.
it's like she doesn't care. She's naked to
Yeah.
the world, you know.
She's disclosed.
She
Yeah.
is, and I love the water. 1 foot in the water, 1 foot out of the water, and how she dumps the water. It's just so many things about it. Creativity, hope, and inspiration, renewal, and spirituality. So I consider it to be a spiritual card. At least that's the one I went. I love this one because it says "wish granted."
Oh,
It says your wish is going to be granted.
Right.
So
that's nice.
I really like it.
I love that.
That's lovely.
And you know,
Okay.
it's funny because with her being naked, it's
Uh-huh.
like she's very comfortable with who she is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
Mhm.
I'm fine. There is no shame there. There's
Yeah.
just a lot of
Exactly.
self-acceptance. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so one of my cards was the Queen of Wands, so that's already been talked about. One of my cards was the Empress, and that's been talked about. One of my cards was the Hermit, and that's been talked about.
Okay.
But Queen of Pentacles.
I like
And
it.
I think that's to do with what I just said about my mother and my grandmother.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She's very practical. She's very intelligent. She takes care of people. She just knows what to do. And especially, as my mom said, there's the pentacle, learn how to take care of yourself. And she's loving, and she's very maternal, and that sort of thing. What else can I say about her? And all the nature that's around her. I mean, it's yellow around her, so this this feeling of possibilities, and yes, and this lovely border of flowers. You can see the mountains, and then there's nature around here. There's the rabbit there, which also can be fertility, as rabbits are known for. Um, she's just a woman that can take care of herself and others. But the one thing she has to really be mindful of is self-love and taking care of herself. Because if she doesn't do that, then she's of no use to anyone else. So
Mhm.
this is about self-love as well, and taking care. Self-care is so important, and taking care of your spiritual self. So yeah, I would say this is my mother. This is my grandmother. Had all their qualities. I wouldn't say she used to stir the shit a lot. So I wouldn't call her the Queen of Pentacles, but her independence. But yeah, I would say that's my mother. I think it's also me too. I mean, a lot of people say I'm very, very independent. Like me going off on my motorcycle and going camping and that kind of stuff. I know there was one time where back in 2002, I took my two daughters and took a friend's. You remember I mentioned Uncle Patrick? He wasn't actually my
Yeah.
girl's uncle, but his kids were like cousins to my two girls. So, anyways, we took his daughter Ray. I took his daughter Ray along on this trip across Canada, right to Nova Scotia and PEI. Didn't make it to Newfoundland. Anyway, so I was part of an online group back then. It was a book club. And I was telling the women that I was doing this, and they said, "Oh, but what if your car breaks down? Or aren't you afraid going by yourself?" And I went, "No, not at all. I travel by myself all the time." And my mother did it with us. I just, if things came up, you dealt with it. Well, what if your car breaks down? Well, what do you do when your car breaks down?
Yeah.
You call a tow truck and take it to the garage and get it fixed.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? And what if you get a flat tire? Well, I know how to change a flat tire. And I said, I know that there's earth angels out there, and someone will pull over and help us. So I'm just not worried at all.
Yeah.
And we did have a flat tire. I had a minivan towing a tent trailer. And the tent trailer, the tires are so small that they're going very, very fast, faster than your weight, and they wear out faster. So yeah, we had a tire that went, and right away this old fella pulled over with us, and he helped us change the tire. And I was saying to the girls, I said, see, I want you to have this ability, learn how to change a tire. And also, someone probably will help you. So be in that frame of mind as well. So he did, and he followed us to the next place that had a Canadian Tire for us Canadians here, and yeah, and then yeah, it was great. So it was perfect to show the girls that there's people there to help you, and that you can do it too. Um,
My
on the
mother
flip,
would not allow me to drive on my own until
oh,
I knew how to change the tire and check the oil
exactly,
or put the gas in it. And then I
yeah,
wasn't allowed to go on a car date until I knew those things as well, because she was
yeah,
like, if something happens and the car breaks down,
Yeah.
it's better that you
yeah,
know what to do than you're stuck on the side of the road somewhere. And sure
exactly.
enough, the first time I ever changed a flat tire, I was on a double date with someone, and the two guys had no clue on how to change the tire. And me and the other girl both had been taught by, well, her by her father, me by my mother, on how to change a tire. We were like, just get out of the way. So we
Yeah.
changed the
Yeah.
tire.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of emasculated both of them, I think. And we never got another date from either one of the guys.
Yeah, I ended up changing. I was in the car with a friend of mine, and she didn't know how to change the tire. And I said, I do, so I changed it for her. The other flip side of that is, trusting that people will help you. Is we were driving. I think I told this story before, but on the way back on this cross Canada trip, we were traveling in Quebec, and we're nearing the border to Ontario. And we came into this small town, and it was getting late. It was dusky, and thought, oh, we need to find a place to, a campground. But when we came into this town, there was this really ominous, dark, awful energy. And it was telling me, like, keep going. And I said to the girls, are you feeling that? Are you feeling that energy? And they said, yeah, it's yucky. I said, well, this is an example of follow your heart, follow your gut. And, don't say you're just being silly. No, follow it. So we kept going, and we ended up about 11 o'clock at night finding a KOA, which was, pretty safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went over the border into Ontario, but, I was able to tell them the flip side of that, of you've got to go with your intuition to stay safe.
True.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, well, is there anything else you want to discuss? We do have some time. We've got about 7 minutes. Or
Well,
we
we
can
know
wrap
what?
it up there.
Reading.
Why don't we just pull some cards for the collective
That's a great idea.
for the week? Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you,
so,
Kelly, for stopping by,
I
going
Yes.
for your dinner.
okay, so pull one card each.
Yeah.
All righty.
Okay, I'm gonna put these away. And it's funny, this is twice now that I'm being called to do Whispers of the Ocean. So we'll do
I
Whispers
just
of
got
the
that deck.
Sorry?
I said I just got that deck. I haven't even broke the seal on it yet. That makes 2 decks that you've mentioned in the last week that I've just gotten that deck.
It's like I'm psychic or something, eh?
I'm telling you.
Is it you, Allison, that has the African Goddess Rising deck? Ah, I thought it was. Yeah, I got it. It arrived last week. Loving it.
Perfect. Perfect.
But that's not the deck I'm being directed to. So I'll put that aside.
Yeah, thank you everyone for spending your time with us, for being patient, listening to the things that we have to say and whatnot. And don't forget, every Saturday, each one of us in our community page will post a little thumbnail that says, put your questions for Wednesday show here below, and blah blah blah. And so
Thank you,
Yes.
put your question in, and then come back on Wednesday, and we will absolutely read it.
So, oh, hi, Brenda. Brenda Tarot card readings we often read together. I just wanted to say that Janet C, thank you for placing that comment. It says, please
Yeah.
comment after the show if you enjoyed the content. It helps the algorithm. And a few emojis would be greatly appreciated as well.
Yes.
Thank you. So thank you for saying that, Janet. Very helpful.
Absolutely.
Okay, are you ready, Marina, with one card?
One card. Okay, I shuffled. And this, yeah, Sherry in one of my members is going to know what this is about. Looking into the deep, diving to new depths. Close enough.
Yeah.
This is the card that I pulled when I did the card of the day for the members. And like I said, I shuffled and shuffled and shuffled. Okay. So the message with this one is, and I'm going to read it because it's really, really interesting. Okay. There is a deeper meaning to what is happening. You might be looking at this from the surface and missing what's really going on. Take a moment to pause and breathe. Allow yourself to dive deeper into what it is you are feeling about your current situation. And yeah, this invites us to not just make snap judgments, right? Not go into reaction mode when something happens. This is step back, take a breath, think about what you're going to say before you do it. Examine what your motivation is behind your response. So I'm happy that it came out again because it just reinforces the message. And yeah, take a breath, breathe, and then decide what to do.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Okay, Sherry.
I pulled from the Healing Spirits Oracle deck. This is a new one. It just came out in June. And the card I pulled says, to overcome, you first have to climb. And it shows somebody climbing out of darkness and into the light. Kind of like a tunnel, you head to the light.
Mm-hmm.
And what it says in here, it says, fear is heavy. It has been pulling you down. So now is the time to lift your thoughts and lighten your mind by focusing on the good things you have experienced thus far, and focus on the good things you've experienced thus far and the bright prospects still to come. The guardian spirits want you to become lighter, and you can do this by overcoming the obstacles that are preventing you from achieving your goals. By working on your fears, you can remove dark and fearful thoughts from your mind and light the path ahead of you. Once you see clearly, you will realize that success is just around the corner. The light mind rises higher and sees more because it has lost the fear which once caused it to be tied down. It kind of fits with what Marina just read.
Thank you. Okay, up next is Allison.
I pulled my African Goddess Rising Oracle, and I got Mbokamo. Her message is about forgiveness, and just this is either forgiving yourself or forgiving somebody that's around you, and making sure that you go through all the feelings and the steps in doing that. You don't have to do that. There's a difference of opinion on doing that. But again, this is the message from the goddess, which is to, in fact, do that. And I think a lot of people out there can relate to this if they're honest with themselves. A lot of us hold on to stuff. And this is about soul forgiveness, right? So this is about going within yourself. And a lot of us, I think, even come into this lifetime carrying stuff from other lives that, you'll sometimes have something you cannot figure out what it is. I think sometimes we carry over things. But yeah, it's about finding forgiveness at a very deep level, whether it's yourself or somebody else in this life, or possibly even something else. And just also always just remembering that, we are having a human experience. We are not perfect, even though, so many people are so full of their ego. You're not perfect. None of us are, even if, we think they are and think we are at times. And same with other people. And I heard somebody say not too long ago about judging, and that's just what we do. That's what the brain does. But just remember, it's a liar.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's not all that serious. Um, yeah, forgiveness, be love, as much as you can. We are human, and we have our days. I've had a lot, obviously, not obviously, but I'm sure it's all over me, go on today. And it's like, I pulled this card and it just made me smile. And it's like, because
Yeah.
this really is, the loving center, this really is who I am. But I am so deeply feeling and sensitive that, stuff can rattle me, and it takes a minute to shake it off. And then I can just do something like this and I feel a lot better. Not that I'm one to hold on to stuff, because I'm really not, but this was like just this afternoon, power and like stuff at work, and just
Yeah.
all the stuff within an hour right for the show. And I'm just like, oh,
Really?
forgiveness.
Really, Spirit?
No, I
Yeah.
can see being upset and just in a foul state, for a minute there, it's like, just forgive, just let go. It's not all that serious.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was mine.
No, that is nice. That is nice. And I got Master Healing number 33. I like the number.
Oh,
Mhm.
beautiful.
This is really about going into your heart as deep as you can and finding out what it is that motivates you and what drives you and what would fire you up so much you'd overcome any obstacle to create whatever you want. This is the power of going in and really setting in your heart chakra, setting in there and feeling how you really feel about things. Create from that space, that power. That's what this is about.
Wow.
Thank you. Okay, Allie.
Okay. Yes, Deanne, I see that you're on here. We are going to do our next show on the rest of the cards we like, just so you know, next week.
Yeah.
So, thank you. So the card I picked was Earth Spirit, and it is stability. And I got ground, be present, and reflect. And so it's much like the deep dive and some of the other cards that the ladies have pulled, just different ways to do it. Different ways to do it.
Exactly.
Yep. And my card fits as well. It's the World card. And the thing is, things ending the cycle, but also a new cycle beginning. But change. It's all about change, and we're going through that. The whole world is with the weather that people are
Yeah.
experiencing. Allie mentioned about there was rainstorms that cut out the power and that kind of stuff. We're going through a lot of things right now, but keep our heads about us. Stay calm. We're going to be going through a lot of changes, and we have to weather the storm. And while we're doing that, be true to ourselves. Still sit in our own truth, and spread love and help each other and that sort of thing. But we are going through incredible changes on all fronts in the world, and also changes within. I know I have been. Yeah, it's just a pretty turbulent time all around. So let's keep our heads about us and love each other and support each other. Okay. Well, thank you, ladies. This was lovely. And so the next one is the host is Val. Did I get that correct?
That's right.
Okay. And what are we going to do? We're going to explore the 4 favorite cards more in depth.
Mhm.
Take a show to do it. Okay, that sounds great. I love it. As I said, I really loved exploring the You know, the guy with the lantern.
Yeah,
hermit.
yeah,
The hermit. The hermit. Oh, I have to say one meeting that has popped up for me was that the hermit is holding the light, and what spirit is doing is holding the light for the next step. But outside of that is darkness, and you have to
The
trust. You
void,
have
the
to take
dark.
that step
Yeah.
to go out into the void, right? Into the
Yeah.
unknown.
Mhm.
So I'm having to do that of late, and it's scary stuff, but you need to do it, and you know, spirit's got you. Spirit's got your back.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank
Sharon,
you, everybody.
So
Yes.
before we go, and we are going
Yes,
to go,
please,
I
please.
just wanted to say Sharon Sipe just came in and said,
Oh.
you know, yeah, she's been doing 17 shows and what she got here late. No. You were fine. You're fine.
fine.
We appreciate the fact that you even tried.
Absolutely. Gosh,
Oh, yeah.
So,
Never a worry, Sharon.
superstar.
We appreciate every second you spare for any of us at
Yeah.
any time.
Yeah, so
That's
don't
right.
worry about it.
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't know
Thank
how
you,
you
Sharon.
keep up.
Absolutely.
all righty.
Okay, so goodbye, everybody, and
Bye,
we'll see you
everyone.
next week on Val's channel.
Mhm.
Oh, oops, I'm just going to have to make my screen a little smaller and click that button.